Welcome to lesson number 4 in the combat series, everyone. In this episode, we're going to be diving into the details of Legion skills, which we covered briefly in the last episode. I'm going to showcase each skill, evaluate its uses, and basically give a recommendation for how valuable each one is to you. There's a lot to cover here, so I'm going to go over this in more of a sizzle reel format, if you will. But before we get into that, let's talk about the very basics of how they work. First of all, before they can be used, you must equip them in the menu, after you've unlocked them on the skill tree, of course. Each Legion can have up to 2 skills equipped at a time, one for the X button and one for the Y button. This means you can have up to 10 unique Legion skills equipped between your 5 Legions. To use a Legion skill, you must call your Legion, then hold ZL and press X or Y, depending on which skill you wish to use. Here is an example of the Hit Rush skill with the Sword Legion. After using the skill, note that there will be a cooldown on the skill before you can use it again. Now that we've got the basics out of the way, let's cover each skill in detail, starting with the non-Legion specific skills. The first will be the one just demonstrated, Hit Rush. When activated, you will break the chain binding the Legion, and they will execute a series of combos on their own. What's nice about this skill is that you can summon another Legion to fight alongside you while the one you just released is going berserk. This can be useful to help handle enemy aggro and remove pressure from you. And, since 2 Legions are summoned, the ability codes tied to each will also be active at the same time. That being said, this skill is easily superseded by more powerful skills, so it's not a very high priority to have equipped. If you have a free slot though, it certainly has its uses. I'd label this one as useful, but non-essential. However, it might be worth it just on the basis of how fun it is to use. Next up is Autobind, a skill where the Legion is thrown in a circle in front of you that chain binds any chimera that is enclosed in the loop. This skill is a little redundant, since you can already chain bind by moving the Legion around an enemy, and thus save a skill slot and still be able to chain bind. Also, it's important to remember that chain binding loses efficacy with every use on a given chimera. The first time will bind it for a long time. The second time will last about half as long. And any uses after that will have no effect at all. The chimera will immediately break out. Those considerations make this a pretty limited skill. However, chain binding is still useful, especially in crowd control, and being able to have it done automatically can be nice in a pinch. All in all though, I wouldn't prioritize this skill very high. After that is Sync Keep. This skill does exactly what it says. Allows you to keep the synced state even when your Legion is dismissed, though only for a short time. That means your attack speed and attack power will stay at their boosted state, and also that your equipped ability codes will stay active despite the Legion being dismissed. This skill is honestly pretty pointless, if you ask me. You shouldn't be spending much time at all fighting without your Legion, so you really don't get much benefit from this. And furthermore, the effect spread sub-ability, which we talked about last episode, can keep your Legion's abilities active even when it's gone anyway. This skill is therefore entirely redundant, and I say steer clear. The last of the non-Legion specific skills are Power Charge and Speed Star, which I'll cover together due to their similar mode of operation. Both boost your stats for a short time. Power Charge increases your attack power by around 50%, not trivial, for about 12 seconds, and Speed Star increases your movement and attack speed by around 1.2 times, for about 18 seconds. These skills are great ways to increase your damage output and improve your survivability, and I would recommend including both in your skill loadout. Now let's get into the Legion-specific skills. Each Legion appears to have 2 skills that are unique to them, and while some are duds, the good ones are the real standouts here. We'll start with the Sword Legion. First, the dud, Triple Sword. The Sword Legion sends a twirling set of swords out that travel along the chain, which instantly makes this very limited. Plus, you have to keep hitting sync chances to keep it going, which is very distracting in the middle of a battle. I stay far away from this one. Then, the standout, Round Sword. The Legion summons twirling blades around its body, which then proceed to make mincemeat of any chimeras nearby, in addition to the Sword Legion's continued attacks. And it staggers lighter enemies too. The very definition of broken here, folks. Equip this one for sure. Next is the Arrow Legion. In this case, the dud is Airshot. The Arrow Legion fires a volley of arrows that pierce the ground along the length of the chain, then explode. This would be powerful, but being limited to the chain ultimately makes this one too difficult to set up effectively in the middle of a heated battle. And the good one, Slow Shot. The Legion fires an arrow into the air, which then flies downward into the target and creates a large bubble of slowed time. In addition to the slow effect being one of the most powerful in the game, this skill has an area of effect, meaning you can slow down an entire mob at once and give yourself time to either retreat or counterattack. It doesn't last long, but sometimes that's all the opening you need. I highly recommend this one. Now for the Arm Legion. The just okay one here is Round Bullet. The Legion does a quick spin while spraying bullets in all directions, sending lighter enemies flying and staggering some of the larger ones. This can be helpful in crowd control, but there are better options out there, and I don't feel that this one necessarily warrants a skill slot. Speaking of better options, there's Gravity Storm. The Legion fires a large, slow-moving bullet that then implodes, creating a powerful field of gravity that pulls enemies in and prevents action. This is an excellent crowd control tactic, and gives you a significant opening for dealing some damage. Don't pass this one up. Now, let's talk about the Beast Legion. We'll get the dud out of the way first, and this might be the dudliest dud there is. Chain Drive. The Legion electrifies the chain, making it cause damage to anything that touches it, for 5 short seconds. Remember how chain-specific skills just aren't that good? Yeah, this is the worst of them. Don't even waste the slot. But then, we move on to consider the legendary Howl skill. This is the most broken skill in the entire game. As the name suggests, the Beast Legion howls, which inflicts the stun effect on any enemy within its generous area of effect. This allows for setups into somersault commands, and is very possibly the most useful crowd control skill in the entire game. What's more, unlike chain binding, Howl never loses effectiveness. It works as well the 10th time as it does the first. Not equipping this skill would be madness. Last of all, we have the Axe Legion. Out of all the legions, this is the only one who doesn't have a dud skill, in my opinion. Both of its unique skills are very useful. We'll start with Blue Shield. This one is right up there with Howl in terms of its usefulness, in my opinion. The Legion will summon 3 rotating blue shields around the player, and each one will completely absorb the damage of a single hit, shattering as it does so. If not destroyed by damage, the shields will last for a full 30 seconds before shattering. Being able to completely tank damage with this skill can really help in the tough moments, so I would absolutely recommend equipping this skill. Its only drawback is a long 30-second cooldown, but it's still too useful to pass up. And to help with the cooldown length, I recommend equipping the Axe Legion with a quick cooldown ability code, so you can use this more often. Absolutely one of the most worthwhile skills in the game. The other is Crash Bomb. The Legion will plant a giant glowing axe in the ground, which will then explode either when damaged by the player or a chimera, or after a certain amount of time. This skill is amazing for disrupting enemy attacks and setting up powerful combos, and it has a cooldown of 2.5 seconds. Constant explosions! It's glorious! Equip it for sure. So now that we've covered them all, I'll end with a battle that illustrates how you could use them synergistically. Take a look. So, in conclusion, Legion skills are some of your most powerful combat tools in this game, and can really help you turn the tides of battle back in your favor. The fact that they're a blast to use is just icing on the cake. And that's everything for this lesson. Now, as always, go get some practice in. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And until next time, keep it nerdy.